Hi, everybody. Happy whatever day it is. I still don't know what day it is these days. But welcome to Leadership from the Heart. Hi, my sweet dear friend Renee. How are you?
Hello there. And just so you know, I will check. It is Thursday.
Thank
Elizabeth.
you.
It's Thursday.
I realized the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, it's June. Where did March and April and May go? Like it was a blur. Anyway.
Well, much of that time has been together in that seat and on this couch doing exactly this.
I know, and showering, right? It's a
and
little
showering.
Well, I know you're excited. I'm super excited because we've talked to some amazing leaders over the last few months, but it's so awesome when one of our guests is somebody that we both know and we both have history with. And so I am so excited to introduce my dear friend Kim Caldwell of Caldwell Connect. And most recently, she's been working with the city of Austin. So I'm really excited to hear everything that she's been working on. But Renee, you and I have been blessed to be in conversations and workshops and things with Kim in the past. So I know our guests and our viewers are going to really be in for a treat today. So Kim, thank you for coming on with us.
How are you? For inviting me. How am I? I was telling Renee, some people experience kind of the ups and downs as a roller coaster, like you're all up or you're all down. And some people kind of feel the different tugs of tension and stress and little joys and wins, like cake batter that hasn't fully been mixed. And I tend to be the roller coaster. So like when I'm great, I'm great. And when I'm down, like I'm listening to Dixie Chicks and crying. I guess now it's just the Chicks. I'm listening to the Chicks and crying on my couch. So right now, definitely in an exciting spot. And what I find is that so much of what lifts me up is authentic connection. Yeah. And today has been a day when I've had the chance to connect with people, and anticipating this has been a reason to be excited. And so I'm thrilled to be here.
We are so excited to have you. So tell everybody a little bit about you, because you've got an awesome past and journey that you've been on. And so talk about kind of what you've been doing and what you're doing now, and share a little bit about who Kim Caldwell is.
Yeah, so Kim Caldwell, let's see. I describe myself in backstage on this as a recovering perfectionist. I think a lot of us maybe are in different phases of our recovery from the need to achieve. And, I'm local Austin, third generation Longhorn for undergrad. And I like to say I started working at the city recently. So longtime resident, first time employee. But I wanted to share a story about leadership. And it relates back to kind of the recovering perfectionist. So the first time that I ever heard anyone call me a leader was when I was in 5th grade. And I had unsuccessfully run for city council. But despite my loss, I was still selected to be part of a Leadership Links program. And in the Leadership Links program, 5th graders got to learn about leadership by seeing and experiencing it. So I went to a city council meeting, and I went to a school board meeting, and I did some other after school prep. And then the big day came when I was going to go work at a business. And so I managed the, at the time, Stouffer, now Renaissance Hotel in the Domain, not the Domain, in Great Hills. And it was very exciting. The big perk was that the kid who worked there got to ride a limo. But that's underselling how good the bagels were on the presidential suite. So I remember getting to eat a bagel. They were just bagels.
Isn't it funny what stands out in our memory, right?
It's amazing, right? I remember the industrial washing machines and bagels, and riding back to school in a limo. And I remember after that, my mom talking about how the principal told her, the principal said, Kim really is a leader. And my mom's like, and her was like, of course. But like no one had bothered to tell me that they saw me as a leader. And so cut to we won't do the math on how many years later, but to last summer, late summer, 2019, I was having just like a super crummy Wednesday. It was one of those days, and I will say, I have a colleague who now refers to every day as Blur's Day, which I think is brilliant.
That's fitting. That's
perfect. We only have to remember one word.
Right, it's Blur's Day.
And then we might need to adopt that into our whatever day it is. So I love Blur's Day.
Blur's Day. Yeah, so it was Blur's Day, the Blursteenth of Janu, Febu, what does it matter? And no, it was and like I was emotional, I was upset, I had all those feelings of not being enough. And instead of going with one idea of drinking alcohol and crying on my couch watching sad movies, I did a little bit of yoga, and I picked up a Brene Brown book, Rising Strong. And within the first few pages, she talked about how great leaders value stories and connect with other people. And I was like, oh, like my principal said when I was in 5th grade, I am a leader. And so, I think so often those of us who are just out there doing the work of our lives and really focused on the impact we want to make in the community, forget that we don't need official leadership roles to be the leader. So that's where I'm at with leadership. And if you'd like, I can tell you a little bit more about my current role with the city.
What do you want to talk about? Because you really have an interesting path, right? I mean, I brought you into some of the organizations that I'm involved in here in Austin. Like when I was chair of Sammy's House, you came into our board of directors and you really helped us all shape the story of our mission in a way that nobody had ever done. And you brought us together as a board that was pretty phenomenal. And people still talked about that afterwards saying, oh my gosh, okay, we just need to tell the story, right? And that's why I love your storytelling. And then, Renee and I brought you along with Cheryl and Jill to our big icon event. And
so fun.
Wasn't that fun? And we're like, okay, and you just completely different industry from nonprofit. Now we're talking about how to tell our story in business and in our lives and to authentically communicate that to others. And so there's so many different things. And now you're working with the city. I mean, there's so many different cool things that you can share that people need to know. So I don't want us to direct the conversation. I want you to share from your heart, because that's what this is all about.
So, well, all right. So I got.
Is this where we bring the presentation slides out, Kim?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
To create
the Post-it notes. Kim and her Post-it notes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I have to just say too is as Elizabeth was mentioning, I had the opportunity to meet you for the first time in Austin last summer, and you have such a compelling way of sharing your thoughts and sharing your stories that really grab people's attention. I mean, you had us in the room. We had 50 people in the room, and we were really on the edge of our seat. I love how you do that. How do you do that?
Well, not by accident. So when I started Caldwell Connect, it was based on creating a space to teach values-based communication. And when you communicate starting from a place of your values and looking not just at what do I care about, but what does my audience care about? What is that common link? Then you can talk about what it is you want someone to know, or you can start a real connective conversation because you're putting the listener first. You are saying, okay, I know some things about you. I know that, right, for that group of realtors, I was like, I know you're high achievers. I know that you care about continuing to grow and get better. I know that you get praised a lot for the outcomes when what you probably really focus on is the process, right? And that these are folks who are fulfilled by what it is that they do. So how is it that I put myself on the same team as you? And I do that by looking at, well, what do we have in common? Well, I love process. I'm a process gal. And yeah, like achieving something's great, but at the end of the day, I don't even experience like the achievement as much if I haven't felt good about the process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's thinking first about the other and how is it that like what is the see, I don't need slides. What is that overlap? Because here's the thing. When we see ourselves as connected to someone at the values level, we are more likely to take action on their behalf. And when I trained women to run for office, this was really critical, right? Because you're asking people to vote for you. You're asking people to give you money. You're asking people to ask their friends to vote for you. You're asking people to go out, I'm in Austin, to go out in July and August and knock on doors to get the biggest pit stains that one can possibly get. Now, Renee, I haven't spent enough time in Florida to know what y'all's pit stains are like. I know mine.
I'm pretty sure it's close to Austin's pit stain size. Just
they
saying.
were pretty even in that comparison.
Later, so what t-shirt contests are over now? We just have pit stain contests.
Right.
Virtual pit stains contest. I will not start that today. That's why
I've really lost hope in humanity. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. No.
Okay. So when you start with the listener in mind, it's also really helpful as a communicator to separate out what is important and what is not, what matters to them and what matters to you. Because I can tell the story of something that happened in 5 minutes over the course of an hour, because I love details. And as you may have already noticed, I tend to get pulled into other stories from the past that provide context. But when you put the listener first, and you have the value that you want to align through, then that gives you helpful boundaries on what is it to include. And so I love to tell the story of a politician in Arkansas who didn't put the audience first. And I was at a conference, and it was, boys, please forgive me, but it was a conference clearly planned by a man, because it started at 8 a.m. There was no breakfast. There wasn't even coffee.
That can make a group real mad real fast.
So we're getting up to almost lunch. We've been sitting in this freezing cold conference space with no coffee. And yeah, I have some rules about meetings. But this politician gets up, and he's the current AG. He was trying to become the nominee for the Senate. It's in a contentious primary. And he just kept talking, and he just kept talking, and we could smell lunch. We could smell it. We hadn't been fed or caffeinated, and we could smell lunch. And he just kept talking and droning. And he wasn't even talking about what he was supposed to be talking about. He was just taking shots at the other candidate. And like, that's not what it was for. And so not only did I not vote for him in the primary, but I told every single person who would listen not to vote for him. Because someone who doesn't respect your time isn't someone I trust to represent my voice in Washington. And I think similarly, someone who can't figure out how to make a connection, someone who maybe doesn't understand or know enough about you or care enough to learn about you, then is that someone who you want to listen to as a leader? Is that someone who you trust to bring in new ideas from? And then the other thing about learning is that we learn so much faster when we play. right? Like kids play and they learn and they experience, and we as adults can learn things much faster when we make it the F word, fun. And right, as a adult educator, you're on a thin line when it comes to fun of like, is this dumb? Is this missing the mark? Or is this something engaging? And what I have found is that people love talking about themselves. So when your worksheets are getting people to talk about themselves, right? That's a good way to hit the mark. So
you're spot on. We just talked about this again this morning in my team meeting. And Elizabeth, this was a part of the topic that we discussed earlier in the week on Leadership from the Heart, is the critical importance to asking the right questions. We've been really taking a deeper dive on my team about making sure that we earn the relationships of all of our customers, and knowing that that has to come first and foremost before we could ever even think about possibly representing a transaction. And the way that you do that is by asking the right questions to understand who they are and what their needs are before you can serve them.
Well, listening, right? It's about that. Mm-hmm. You said it right there. It's about no matter what the industry is. It doesn't have to be real estate. We just happen to be, you and I happen to be in real estate. Kim's not. Yeah. But it's about the relationship. It's not transactional, and it's give and take. You're listening, you're engaging, you're truly caring about what that person is needing from whatever the situation is. And, you know, quite frankly, I think that's probably why we've been so successful, because I always talk about, I don't have this big goal up here. I don't really care. But Kim, you nailed it. It's not about the accolades. I mean, those are nice. Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got someone. But it is the process. I take care of my clients, and I get so excited by they're my one and only client. And it's that process. We're helping them. They're helping us. We're learning. We're growing. And you're right. It's all about building that relationship. And you can't do that if you're just talking and you're not listening.
Right.
Not engaging.
Amen. And Amen.
So Elizabeth mentions that she's my friend. She's also my realtor. And she's a realtor who I've
wanted to admit that or not. So, you know.
Yeah. So, like, thank you, Elizabeth. I love this house. So Elizabeth is my realtor, and I knew within moments of meeting Elizabeth that she was my realtor, because she spoke to, I don't know if she could just read me, because I'm kind of, I bring a history thing, but Elizabeth spoke to, you want to trust someone to do the homework that you don't want to do. And that homework's fun for me. So let me do that homework for you. And I was like, sold. Elizabeth's my realtor. She's got the confidence that she's already my realtor. She's speaking exactly to what I perceive as kind of my fear in the and like the problem that we have to overcome. Like, I was sold. And she told me about her family. And she told me about her kids. And we have daughters the same age. And I hadn't yet gotten pregnant with the second one. My second one. Or Elizabeth's youngest is the same age as my oldest. And by the way,
I had a whole litter of children by the time Kim got to her second one. So, you know,
but children who are, we don't need to brag on your kids right now. But
no, but I mean, to that point, Kim, yeah, we met because she was referred to me, and we built a relationship, and she is a friend. And because of her, she is a huge cheerleader for my business. She really, and quite frankly, I'm a cheerleader of yours, because I believe in what you're doing, and you and I connect in those ways. But she's been a huge cheerleader in my business.
But you're learning for each other. You both are learning from each other.
Yeah.
That Pam Owens, who is with us, I mean, Kim and Pam know each other. Like, and then all of a sudden your worlds start colliding. You're like, well, of course, because we all operate very similarly.
So I did want to talk, because one of the things that I didn't mention that I started in 2019, but and carried into 2020, but that hasn't been able to happen during social distancing or physical distancing, what you prefer to call it, is I did partner with a yoga teacher to create yoga-based leadership curriculum. Because I do, right, I do believe that how we use our bodies changes what we can tap into within ourselves. So like my power move is opening myself up. Like, I don't know if anyone else is listening to Unlocking Us by Brene Brown, her new podcast, but she has this series of questions at the end that she always does. And one of the questions is, big scary things happening, what's the first thing you do? And my answer to that, which to be clear, no one has asked me because I'm not on the podcast, but I'm going to pretend someone has asked me. Most people say take a breath, like say a little prayer. For me, it's pull my shoulders back. Because if I can stay physically open, then I can keep from shutting down. Because when you shut down, you're not listening. And when you're not listening, you're not fully engaging. So keeping myself open. But one of the things that we talked about a lot, we had a whole 2-hour session, was leadership and defining leadership as aligning purpose towards a common goal. So it's not, can I get you to do something? But it is, can I create an environment and an expectation in which you believe it is important for you to do that thing? Because I know hierarchy gives us compliance, but as I talked about earlier, I'm not usually someone who has an official, I'm in charge of you role. It's not something people willingly give me. But I'm often in places where I have the ability to lead through influence. And so again, by thinking through what does the audience need? What is important to that person? What matters to them? Is it security? Is it achievement? Is it growth and learning? Because how you ask someone at the very beginning of their career, how you get them engaged and give them work to do is different from someone who's an expert. And it is not, leadership is not about you. It's about your ability to connect with the other person. So values-based leadership is all about understanding that starts at the values level. What are the values that you connect through? Because that's how you build the trust. That's how you build the collaboration. That's how you build what's going to allow you to be on the same team and not just receiving and completing assignments.
When you have a newer relationship where you might be in a leadership expected role, what are a couple of approaches or strategies do you have for the leader who's looking to enhance and build that strength between themselves and whomever they're leading?
Great question. So part of someone, we've already seen, but it is getting to know them and making that part of the work. It's not extra. It's not fluff. It is part of the work, because you as the leader are not going to understand what all is possible within the project if you don't understand the people who are contributing to it, not just their roles, but who are they? What motivates them? What keeps them up at night? What are their lives like? And so my boss at the city of Austin, so I work within the city public communications and public information office. Sorry, we're called corporate in an internal fashion, and I'm not great at explaining what I do at the city. I got hired specifically to communicate around ending homelessness in the city of Austin, but then COVID hit. What my boss does is always starts a meeting with a check-in. You always start with a check-in, and you can say no, you don't want to do it, but it's the space to be a whole human person and to bring your whole human person into the conversation and not just the worker. And part of what that does is not only does it give other people the chance to be like, oh, today is Kim's at the top of the roller coaster, or right now Kim's at the bottom of the roller coaster, or, Kim can't stop making jokes. So clearly she's done too much work already and all she can do is distract herself. But also it gives you, the person speaking to it, the chance to be real again, to open up and not feel like the you that's hurting, the you that's confused, the you that's elated, the you that can't stop laughing because your 3-year-old was talking out of her butt before she went to school that day. it gives you the space to be all of that and to bring all of that to your work. And so I think that is a good way to build rapport. It's a good way to build a group dynamic. And it's another good way, because I think about, there are two approaches to leadership, or one dynamic through which you can look at approaches to leadership. There are leaders who sit on top and control what's possible. And there are leaders who create the foundation and allow everyone to contribute what you can't get done without everyone. And I was right. I want to be this leader. When I'm scared and I don't know what to do, I sometimes get this instinct, but I want to be this. I want to do all the things that make me this. And creating the space for people to bring all of themselves is part of laying that foundation for what is it that y'all can create together. Because again, the goal isn't to get something perfect. The goal is to create the biggest impact. And you might be able to define perfection on your own, but you can't imagine, one person alone cannot imagine what the biggest impact will be without others authentically contributing.
I love the reminder.
That. Sorry, Renee, I think I'm on a delay.
No.
I love how you differentiate that, because you're very correct in that assessment. And I've not really looked at it like that. We talk about that a lot, about, the people that are up top and then they're trickling down, and flipping that triangle over a little bit. But yes, I really am drawn to those people that are trying to build that foundation together. Like, together we're going to achieve more, right? And together we're going to have better ideas, and we're going to collaborate differently, instead of me just being, no, this is what you have to do, and this is the only way to do it, and this is the only way it's ever been done. So there's no diversion from that whatsoever, right? And I think those organizations that are collaborating together are building up so much quicker and more effectively than the older school model. Going back to, what our friend Rick Miller has talked about, is anybody can be chief. It's not a title.
Yeah.
Right. So it's bringing that together and going for a common goal, or making things better by thinking things differently than somebody else did. I love that.
I keep a quote. It's up. You can't see my bedroom, thank goodness, because it is not maintained in the same fashion as what you can see. Although actually that's kind of a mess, but that's me. That's authentically me, puts things down and then walks away. But I keep a quote up there from, her name's Hari Han, and she's a professor of movements. And what she talks about is that all the successful movements, people have had the autonomy and they've had the autonomy and the skills and equipment to do the work on their own, and not right. And most movements never give their participants the chance to actually be part of a movement that's bigger than than just the idea that started it or the people that started it. Because if someone doesn't own their contribution, if they're not doing what they're excited to do, they're only doing what you ask them to do. Right? We know the difference. We know the difference between the checking the box and the excitement to get it done. And yet when we feel the pressure to lead and we have these expectations for ourselves, we have expectations from Mr. Rex, we panic and we're like, just do the thing I'm asking you to do, because that's a faster ask for you. But in the end, it means that person is doing it for you and not for themselves. And how they feel about you is going to determine how excellently it ends up getting done. And if they don't believe that they're allowed to do something better that they know about that maybe you don't know about, then you're not going to get, you may get what you asked for, but you're not going to get what could be more meaningful.
Emerging organization as compared to top down. It's so powerful. I like the even a visual that you were painting with the thought as a leader is to think about strengthening the foundation and again, letting things cascade throughout. It's a really good reminder.
Well, I think too, right now in we are in an environment of chaos. We are in an environment where we as an individual feel like we have very limited opportunities to impact what's going to happen broadly. And there's not a lot of clarity around what exactly it is we're supposed to be doing. And right, there's impact, right? There's economic impact, there's economic fears, there's suffering, there is illness, there is hurt, there is collective trauma. And it is so important in this moment to go back to the foundation and to look at your values. Because the right thing to do is the thing that is in line with your values. And I think that's why right now some of like the helping advertising, some of it feels right and some of it feels phony. Some like the stuff that it's like, ooh, let me figure out how to make this thing of this moment, when that's not the brand. The brand is not a helping brand.
Yeah.
Like, I actually kind of love the progressive ads right now, because they're like, we've been with you this whole time and now we're still here with you. Versus like, we're doing all we can in this one way while everything else is exactly the same. Like, I think that when we go back to our values and we say, why am I here? I'm here to learn. I'm here to be kind. I'm here to to seek justice. I am here to help others achieve something big in their life, which is what realtors do. I know that not everyone's a realtor, but I know y'all are, right? Right. That's my feeling is that is a human service.
Yeah.
And so when we look back to the why are we doing this? What does it matter? What is it that person wants and that I want that's the same? Then what the right thing to do is, I feel like it's a lot easier to decide. And when the health and safety of others is a value, then that can guide you. When, I always go back to kindness.
Yeah.
When kindness is a value, what is it that you can do that's kind? And how can you be a space for others to be kind as well? And I think that when truth and integrity, integrity is a really big one for me, because I'm someone who's going to watch what you do and see if it matches what you say.
Yep.
And I'm never going to be madder at anyone than I will be at myself when I have failed at integrity.
Yep.
When I have said something that goes against my lived life, or when I do something that I know isn't representative of the person that I am. So integrity is really big for me right now. And right now I'm working in government, so that looks like transparency. And I think, this is a moment where listening is so critical. Because I think, especially as we all each have our own fears and concerns and just uncertainties and stress, right? We are all experiencing, particularly parents who...
Everyone is, though, Kim. It's across the board.
Yeah. I relate.
One of the things that we've been talking about literally since March 13th, when March 13th is kind of the moment for a lot of us that everything was shifted. And it's
anniversary, Renee. Moving forward, that will always be our anniversary.
I think so.
Anniversary.
Is it?
We were in Paris at the time. We'll talk about that's
this year, 2020. This year 2020. Oh my goodness.
We were at the top of a hotel at a restaurant having the meal of our lives.
And you realized you need to get home soon.
Well, that was the 11th.
Okay.
As the whole that's a different webcast.
Yeah. Well, if we look back to that time, I will say that I actually pointed out to my husband that I was so proud of a word choice he used, because he said it really matter of fact. And I to this day, 90 days ish later, I look at him, I'm like, that's such an appropriate word. Early on in mid-March, he kept saying to the team every morning when we met is, let's all remind each other we need to be gentle with one another. And at that time, that was his phrase he was using, because the team would come and it was very stressful because, well, there's a possible deal falling apart and someone's, there's contract issues and everything that was going on. And it was, okay, let's just take a deep breath and remember to be gentle with one another. But quite frankly, we're still saying that because, and even right before we hopped on this live, that crossed my mind again, is we still, and always should be, but we still need to think gentle. Everybody is experiencing something that is not fun and doesn't feel good right now. Gentle is a great word.
But not only for your team, but also for ourselves, right?
Everybody.
We've been talking about that a lot. It's like we have to cut ourselves some slack and be gentle and kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because usually that's the first thing that goes out the window. And so, yeah, I mean, Jeff has been great with that and his team, but it's also been a constant reminder, a daily reminder that we are all in this together. It's the world, it's the globe, and everybody's going to react and experience things a little bit differently, although similar, right? And so, we need to just remember that this is unique for everybody, and this is okay to have feelings and fears and uncertainty, but we're not alone in that.
Well, can we go wrong if we use gentle behavior, though? Like if we just approach everything with a gentle disposition, doesn't that just like, Kim, you've had a rough day and I don't know the circumstances that brings you to this moment, but I'm going to be gentle with you because I can only imagine that you've had some not so fun parts to your week.
Yeah. And I love that. I love gentle. I want to, though, acknowledge that fear of disappointing others is really hard.
Yeah.
That is, as we are trying to be gentle with it, sometimes it's easier to be gentle with others than it is ourselves.
Yeah.
And as a mom, as a derelict board member, as a community member, as someone who sees the suffering of others, I sometimes get so stressed out by this fear of letting people down that it feels selfish to be gentle. But that is the anxiety. That is you have to take care of yourself or you cannot be there for others. We all know that. We say that. It's hard to live it. When, particularly for me, like helping is one of my ways to avoid feeling my feelings.
I'm exactly like you, like pouring into others and pouring into something else. It's a distraction. I can ignore whatever I'm dealing with. I'm exactly like you in that regard.
And it's a way so I think about, like, we experience pain and we can choose to process it and deal with it, or we can pass it on. Yeah. And right now, helping others is a way to just like keep that pain in the back so that I'm neither processing it nor passing it on. I'm making it tomorrow's problem, and it keeps building. Yeah. And so I think that to the point about gentle, that's so important. And we have to give ourselves the space to feel pain. I didn't cry at all. And all of this until the very first email came from the school district saying, here's how at-home learning is going to work.
Yeah.
And then I full body sobbed on my couch because I could no longer put off that tug back here that I was avoiding this aspect of motherhood. I was avoiding this aspect of carrying my kids. And that was just like the thing that I couldn't ignore, right? I could deal with all the work stuff. I could deal with all like the being a daughter and being a sister and being a wife and all that. Like I could deal with all that. But like in that moment, I couldn't put off processing the feelings that I had. And so I think, I talked earlier about self-care being Brene Brown and yoga. Right now, I don't know that y'all can talk here. I'll show y'all my tan line from walking my dog so much. Right. Physical movement helps to process pain and process things. And so finding those ways to process your pain so you don't pass it on to others, because that's another, right? That's another element of leadership, is that leaders process their own pain. Managers may pass it down the line. Hierarchy is a great system for never having to process your pain and always just pass it along, she says, as an advocate for flat structures, but working right now in a very hierarchical system, which makes, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Who do I get to email? I don't want to mess this up. And I'm not in an office, so I don't know. I can't even someone. Do you know, I haven't asked those kinds of questions, and it stresses me out. Because that's half a job, is learning how to navigate up and down. But that is for when we talk about my brief Paris vacation and we're drinking wine. Because although wine is not the only way to process pain, it is sometimes a fun addition to sharing stories about.
I missed you. I missed you so much. It's been way too long.
Well, and Renee, I have her in my city and I don't even get to see her. So
well, join the club. Anybody right now,
right?
But what I love about what y'all are doing right now is that you're bringing in so many different voices and so many different lenses, because right, I resonate with, I'm not for everybody, as my husband sometimes reminds me. And that's fine. I don't need to be for everybody. But what I love that y'all are doing is creating a platform for people to check in and be thoughtful and stimulated and think, okay, does this resonate with me?
Yeah.
Is this something that speaks to my values and who I am? Or is this like, I'm just not connecting? And I do think it's really, really important, particularly right now, that we open ourselves up to things we've never considered before, but also have kind of that critical thinking to say, yep, this is for me, or nope. But that practice, y'all, I think y'all see me, I keep doing this.
You do, yeah.
That's a good practice.
I know I'm not doing enough yoga right now, and I can feel it in my body. I won't give y'all examples, but I will say one last tidbit that I want to make sure I get in, because I know we're going to close fairly soon here. The best advice that I got when I was in a time of transition was to remember that context determines competency. I'll say it again. Context determines competency. So for all of us chronic overachievers who knew how to get everything done in the before times, the context is up in the air right now. The context is rapidly shifting. The context is a lot of chaos. And it can feel like we're spinning our wheels when doing the exact same thing, right, that 4 months ago got traction. And it's not that we have suddenly gotten bad at things. It's that the context has changed. Mm. And so, like, this is one of my, when y'all talk about gentleness and kindness, part of that self-kindness is reminding yourself, okay, I'm not suddenly an F up. I'm operating in a whole new world. So what can I learn about this world that, based on, again, my values, my strengths, and the things that make me? How can I wrote a piece about this for the UT Center for Professional Education, right? It's leaning on your values so you can pivot within the context to find your next spot. And so, like, if I haven't said values 45 times yet, doing that deep look and understanding right now what matters most to you. What is it that makes you you? What is the filter that you're not even aware of that information flows through? for you to make sense of the world. Tapping into that right now, I think, is one of the best ways that you can be there for you and be there for others, because that, right, that's that foundation. That's that foundation of you. And that hasn't changed. Everything around here, right? You can, I was going to try to make an analogy. Like, you could paint your whole house, but like your foundation is still your foundation. But y'all know, Elizabeth knows how very unhouse
savvy.
Yeah. As we're all walking through for the inspection and everyone's looking at stuff and I'm pretending like, ooh, I'm looking too. I know what I'm looking at.
She didn't fool anybody, but we let her go along with it.
Yeah, which is fine. That's why I know, right? I value people doing what they're good at.
Well, speaking of being good at something, my eyes have been open to the amazing leaders and people that we have in our own tribes, right? I mean, Renee and I've had some awesome people out here that, like I mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily have relationships with, but we all learn so much. But we're surrounded by some amazing people. And I think, Renee, I don't know about you, but she hasn't even touched the surface of what I know she's done and poured into. Like Kim, your whole story approach and storytelling, that whole idea we need to have you back on.
Was that what you thought I was going to talk about?
Kim is getting a reoccurring.
Because I knew you would just go talk about whatever you're amazing at talking about, but you have so many layers to you. It's like an onion, right? And I love
parfait.
Or what?
A parfait.
Or a bagel. I don't know. Can you have bagel?
No, not a bagel.
It's all
bagels. Okay, a parfait. I don't know how that works, but we'll go with the parfait.
Oh my gosh.
Layers?
You're fancy. Okay. All right. You're not an onion. I've been corrected. You are a fancy parfait. So we need to have you back because you have so much gift and stuff to share that it's like, yeah, I mean, like Kimberly Toko, a friend of ours in Arizona, she's like, yes. Could you imagine?
Did you see that Kimberly Toko said Kimberly Caldwell for president?
Listen.
There you go.
I started a Twitter specifically to prevent myself from ever being able to do that.
You never know. But I think you need to come back with us and even just talk about so many different things that you do, because what you're saying is so relatable, and it's all like, oh, it's not difficult, right? I mean, to step into a leadership position, and leadership is so different from what the definition might say in a Webster dictionary, right? You can be leaders in so many different ways, and you can show that and you share that. Every time I talk to you, and I know you, it's like, oh, okay, what's she going to talk about now? I learn every single time. So I think we need to have you come back.
Well, that's so kind. And I would love to come back. And I'm, like I said, when we open ourselves up and instead of needing to be right, we're curious, so much is possible. And I will say I've learned by messing up, and I've learned by having to be more patient than I like to be. And I'm thankful for these conversations. I'm thankful for, I'm always thankful for people's patience with me. But I'm also thankful for input and feedback. And so sometimes, like, honestly, laughter is my favorite feedback. Every class I teach, every presentation I've done in my career, like, I fully judge how well it went based on how many good laughs I got.
Well, I'm pretty sure that my mascara is running. And I would say that in the times that I've been fortunate to share with you, one of the things that stands out so clearly is you're an awesome person that can give others goosebumps, because what you share can go right to the heart. So I've already had goosebumps a couple times in this hour. You make us giggle and laugh. So it also has some teary eyes because I am laughing so much. And you are a person who really sparks one to be reflective of their mindset And so I would like to say thank you because you continue to share and teach great things. Could we have you reoccurring on the show, please?
Yeah, great. So
Yes.
fun. I'll start bringing popcorn. I can throw
Good. And wine.
Or wine. I'm all about the wine.
Honestly, it's like for me, my Corona drink is tequila based.
Oh, no.
It's pretty much.
Oh, wait, that's a
tequila.
question. So for our audience, what has been your quarantine preferred drink? Mine's been bourbon based.
Ooh.
Mine's been Deep Eddy Lemon and Topo Chico.
Yeah, mine is you buy the lime seltzer water, you take a few big sips, and then you pour some tequila into. And that's if you don't just put the tequila straight in your mouth, because Corona has taught me how many dishes a family can go through.
Oh yeah.
I'm so tired of doing dishes that it's like whatever doesn't create a dish. So that one time I was so tired, I made a margarita by pouring lime liqueur and tequila directly into my mouth. And it was good. And then I just drank a glass of water from a glass I already had. So,
tip is just to pour the tequila in the seltzer water.
Yeah, that's the if I'm walking around the neighborhood drink.
Oh, yeah.
Slash parenting.
That's where the tan lines come from, right?
Renee, she said it was walking the dog. Now we know the real story.
That's right.
Ooh,
That's right.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you
so
guys. I'm excited to be back.
Well, one last question for you, okay? I mean, you've talked a lot about this and you've dug in, but one question we ask all of our guests, is that Justin in the background?
Justin.
Hi, Justin. And there he goes. Hi. What does leadership from the heart mean to you?
Oh gosh. It means the leadership that's hard, but that you only feel good about after. Right? It's about integrity and it's about knowing that it wasn't just about you. So
You just made me teary-eyed and goosebumps again, and it wasn't giggles. It was that's one of the nicest things that we've heard on this show. So
yeah.
We appreciate you, Kim Caldwell.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this.
We're so glad to have you here, and we will see you soon, my friend.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.